Hello and welcome. The purpose of this video is to review the research project in Psychology 101. So, a quick overview of this assignment, and full instructions can be found in our D2L classroom. There are two things that you'll be submitting for this assignment. The first is proof that you have found a specific article using the Hack library system. The second is proof that you understand what is written within that article. So I'm going to go into some more detail now about those two pieces. To get started, the first thing that I have you do is learn more about Stanley Milgram's obedience study. Now, that is not the article that I have you researching, but the reason I have you learning more about that is the article that I have you researching is based on Stanley Milgram's study. So it's important to understand the history and understand the original study. So I have some videos and some information for you to learn about the original study. Then you will find the article that I have you researching. The name and the date for the article that you will be researching is listed in our classroom. You will find that article using Hack's library system. You will submit proof that you found that within Hack's library system. And I have an example that shows you exactly how to submit that. And then you will answer questions about that article and submit those answers. And it is as easy as that. The rest of this video is going to focus on submitting your essay answers, because that is where the bulk of your points come from, and that is the piece that most students need a little bit more guidance with. So here are some general rules. Your entire paper should use APA formatting, and this includes a cover page. Your pages should be numbered, and there should be a reference page at the end, as well as in-text citings within your paper. You do not need an abstract or running head. You do not need to use headers. And for this paper, I'm not requiring students to have an introduction or a conclusion. You should number your questions. And when we get through this PowerPoint, you'll see that there are 3 questions that you'll be answering. Please number your questions so I know which question you're answering. Double space the entire paper. Please use spell check and grammar check, and use a formal research tone throughout the paper. So your entire paper is going to use APA formatting, and I have a video linked within our classroom that shows you how to format a Word document. The current edition of APA does not require students to use an abstract. What I am requiring, just to summarize, is that you will have your cover page, you will have page numbers, and at the end you'll have your references. You will also have your in-text citations, obviously, but I'm not requiring you to use the headers, and that is in the video. The video will show you how to use headers. I'm not requiring you to do that either. I'm also not requiring you to do like an introduction paragraph. You can get started right away with just question 1, question 2, question 3. So let's review the rubric, and I would like to encourage you to review the entire rubric, which can be found in the Dropbox. Question 1 is asking you to explain why it was important for Stanley Milgram and other social psychologists to conduct true experiments versus using correlational research. So what I'm looking for is for you to be able to explain and define what a true experiment is, what correlational research is, and tell me the benefits and limitations of each type of research, and use that then to explain why it was important to do a true experiment versus correlational research. Question 2 has 2 parts. So for question 2A, you're going to review, define, or explain 2 conditions or scenarios when a person is more likely to conform as described in the Berger article. Now, this is the first time that you're actually referring to the article. Be sure that you answer the question using the article. There's lots of ways to find, ways that people conform, but you're going to reference the Berger article. And in that article, Berger specifically addresses ways that people, or times when people are more likely to conform. You're going to pick 2 of those times and go into detail about those times and describe them, and let me know that you understand, when, 2 conditions when people would be more likely to obey. So for the second part of question 2, you're going to describe a situation for each of the conditions that you described in part A when a person might be more likely to conform or obey, and explain why. So whatever conditions you picked for part A, you're now going to come up with scenarios that the person would be more likely to obey or conform. So you are showing me that you can take what you've read in the article and apply it to a real life scenario. It could be something, that you've experienced. It could be something made up. It doesn't matter. Couple things though. You want to make sure that you apply to both scenarios. You also want to maintain a formal tone. So even if you're applying it to your life, do not say things like whenever I, or I think, or I believe. Throughout this paper, you're maintaining a formal research tone. So just be careful of falling into that pattern, because it's really easy to do in this part to say, when I was pulled over by the police, I was more likely to obey. You want to avoid any, going into that pattern of I did this, I did that, because that's a very informal tone. So stick with research tone. Okay, and question number 3, we're coming into the final end here. Milgram became interested in obedience as a direct result of the current events of his time. Is his study relevant today? Justify your answer with at least one example. So you're letting me know if you believe that his study is relevant, and then you're justifying your answer. So you're using empirical, objective, data-driven reasons to explain, support why the study is relevant, or if you believe it's not relevant. So is it relevant or not? And you are giving examples as to, to back up your reasoning. One of the objectives of this class is for you to be able to take what we're learning and apply it to like current events or to psychological phenomena that are happening within your world. So this is an opportunity to do that. There's lots of examples of happening in the world today. So I think for helpful resources, the most helpful thing is taking a look at the rubric just to make sure that what you're doing is what I'm looking for. Another helpful resource is the formatting video, and I have that linked in the folder for your research project. For some of you, using APA is new. You may have used MLA, but you want to be sure that you use APA, and there are points associated with using APA. So, that's something that you don't want to lose points just for silly formatting issues. And the last thing, and I mean, it sort of goes without saying, but the burger paper. Using the correct paper. I've had students accidentally not use the correct paper, so you want to use that paper. And then the other thing is, anytime, even when I'm reading a research paper, I often have to read it several times. So, read it, digest it, think about it. I mean, this is something that it's okay. Some of you are going to be able to read it and get it first go, no problem. Others may need to read it a couple of times, and that is okay also. But, to take your time and just process the paper. Don't overthink the assignment, but it's okay if you need to reread it a couple of times just to make sure that you understand what Berger did, what he was trying to do, and what his results, what he found. So again, I want to remind you to review the research project folder that is down within our classroom, to review the information found in the Dropbox. There are 2 submissions. The first is very easy. You will just be submitting proof that you found the correct article. Easy peasy. Second is the longer paper, and obviously that is going to take you a little bit longer, and that is the one that has the rubric and has the 3 questions that I spent a little bit more time going over. Certainly, if you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to reading your papers.